Hey there, welcome back friends. In this video we will talk about range. So let's get started. Now friends, first of all let me show you a very simple list. For example, the name of the list is my list, and in here we have 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5 comma 6 comma all the way to 9. Let me pause this video and add the data. Alright, let me also add 0 in here. That would be rather good. Alright, so now in here we have some data in a list. Now in order to generate these kind of data, we can either generate it programmatically or we can do it manually. Now in here, for example, I show you the content inside this list. The amount of data is less. There are only 10 elements, but for example there are maybe 1000 elements or maybe 100 of element. Then manually adding all of these data could be difficult, and when it comes to Python, these kind of operations are quite common. As a result, there are two ways. For example, I create a yet another list, for example list 2. Then I can do what? Firstly, I can initialize this as a blank list, and then using a while loop, for example, I can add data in here. So it would be like while I is less than 14, for example, or maybe 12, colon list 2 dot append, and we will add I. Fairly straightforward, right? And then we will type in I equals I plus 1. Alright, now let me run this, and now finally let me display list 2. So now the list 2 have all of these elements. Fairly straightforward, nice, and it is very convenient, it is very easy. Now these kind of operations are simple, and we have the alternative of making use of a while loop or any loop, to be very honest. But there is a alternate way. There is a method by the name of range which can help us to create these kind of list or maybe tuple. So in here, for example, let me show you. I create a list 3 equals, and I make use of this range. So it would be like range, and there are a couple of things. There are in total 3 parameters, but we will go with the first parameter, which is the range of the list, and the default starting value is always 0. So for example, I give the range as 15. What will be the outcome? Let me show you. So it would be like list 3. Let me run this. So in here list 3 will be a range, right? So this is what? This is a generator. So in actual, even though the name is a list, but it has only generated this parameter, which is range. This is a generated value. In order to generate a list, we need to cast it. So it would be like list, and now if I run this, then indeed we will get a list. Definitely we can also generate for example set out of it. Can we do that? Here we go. So now we have a set. Take a note of the braces. Can we generate a tuple? Here we go. So now there is a tuple. So using this range, we can definitely generate all sort of data structures, and this is a convenient way of doing it, right? So this is nice. Alright, now friends, moving forward, we can iterate over the range as well. Let me show you. So in here, for example, I type in for item in range, and for example we give the range as 10, colon print item. Let me print it. So this will definitely give us values from 0 to 9. Now take a note of it. Range starts with 0. As a result, 10 won't be included. Alright, so this is a very simple implementation of range. Now using range, we can like initialize list, tuple, sets, things like that. It is very convenient, and many time range is very handy. Now let us move forward and check a couple of more things in range. So in here, for example, I type in range, and in here there are three parameters, and these parameters are basically like the slicing mechanism, start, stop, and step. So it is similar to that. So in here, first of all, for example, I give the starting value as 10, stopping value as 20, and stepping as 1. Let me run this. So this will definitely return a range, and we can like cast it to list. Let me run this now, and here is the list. Now take a note of it, 20 is not included, and it is the default mechanism. 20 won't be included, but 10 will be included. All right, and in total there would be 10 elements, which is the difference between 10 and 20. All right, and stepping is 1, right? I can also give the stepping as -1. Let me show you. Now when we give the stepping as -1, in this case we can give the starting value as a bigger number, and initial value or the next value, the stop value, as a smaller number. Then this will work and you will get a list in a reversed order. So this is how we can do it. We can, for example, give stepping value as -2, for example, then only the values which are even in nature is displayed from the list. Alright, so this is fairly straightforward, a handy method, a handy generator which we must know. Alright, now once we have done with the range, let us quickly check the enumerate method, and this is very interesting. For example, there is a string, maybe name equals steady easy, right? Now in here, for example, we wish to iterate over a string, right? So we can do that, we can easily do that. Let me run this. In here we will type in for letter in name colon print letter, right? So this is fairly straightforward. Let me run this, and we get these letters individually. But for example, we wish to also extract the index values. How we can do that, right? So in here, one way could be, for example, in here, let me copy this, let me paste it in here. So before we extract these names, what we can do is we can initialize a variable I equals 0, and in here what we can do is we will make use of format. So it would be like F double quotes, and it would be like letter with index, and we will display I. Alright, and finally we need to increase the value of I plus equals 1. Now you can easily make out that because we are willing to calculate the index values, the code got complicated a little. We had to use 2 additional statements in order to get this. So in here we can easily make out that we are able to like successfully display these values. In fact, I have made a mistake in here. This needs to be in braces. So we are able to get the values properly, but somehow this is a common operation, and if there is these common operation, Python has a solution for it. So indeed, Python has did what? In order to extract the indexes of individual element in a iterable data structure. In those kind of scenario, Python has given us with the enumerate method. Let me copy this code. Let me paste it in here. So in here I can get rid of this. I can also get rid of this, and in place of letter I will type an element. We can give any name. I am simply giving element, and we will only display element. So we are back to square one, the same stuff, but we will call in the enumerate method, and in between the enumerate method we will give the iterable data structure, which is string in our case. It could be anything else as well. Here we go. So now it will return tuples. So this is interesting, right? Isn't it? So this is nice. This is how we can extract information. Same can be again done with a list. So in here, for example, I type in list x equals a comma b comma c comma d, and these needs to be characters. So we will enclose using single quotes. Let me quickly do this. Here we go. Let me run this. Let me again use for loop. So it would be like for item in list x colon print item. Here we go. Let me run this. Here is the output. Again, let me copy this enumerate method. Let me paste it in here. Let me enclose the data structure using the enumerate method, and we get the tuples. So this is fairly straightforward. But in here we can again do one thing, which is tuple unpacking. Now tuple, this format is widely used. As a result, there is a by default tuple unpacking mechanism. So in here, first of all, let me do one small little thing. Let me copy this. Let me paste it in here. And let me copy this entire code and let me paste it in here. Let me run this. And in here, in place of element, what we will do, we will also make use of a yet another variable, which is index. So it would be like index comma element, and we will display a formatted string. It would be like f double quotes, element would be inside braces, and it would be like element has index braces, and we will display index. Cool stuff. Let me run this, and here we go. So in fact, because of tuple unpacking, which is a default functionality to us, we can like modify the output based on our requirement. Definitely we can enclose these two elements in between pair of parentheses. It will make it more readable, but this is a very convenient, easy to understand thing for us. Alright, this is very easy to understand stuff for us. Now finally, let us check the zip mechanism, which is given by default by Python to us. Alright, now moving forward, let us check a yet another interesting and widely used use case. For example, we have two lists. For example, it would be like list male, and in here there are like couple of males. For example, Jake, John, and maybe Rahul. All right, and let me create a yet another list, and it would be like list female. For example, we have like two databases where we would like to club for couples, and we wish to create a dance party or a dance competition, and we would like to couple them based on the sequence in this list. So now in list female, we will update the names like maybe Pooja, Natasha, and maybe Tina. Alright, so there are 3 males and 3 females. Let me run this. We have two lists. We forgot to add the equal to sign. Let me quickly do that. Alright, now for example, we want to create a one-to-one association from this list. In general, we are doing what? We are zipping, we are clubbing, we are creating couples out of these two lists, right? Now in order to do these kind of things, there is a method known as zip. Let me show you, and we can simply pass any iterable data structures in here. For example, list male and list female. Let me run this, and this will definitely give us a output, and this will be like a zip at, and it will give us a address. Now definitely this is not usable for us, and we can cast it. So it would be like list, and we will cast the entire result to a list. Now when we run this, it will show us a list, and take a note of it. There are tuples, right? So here are tuples, and these tuples has a clubbing. There is a one-to-one association between these two lists, which is nice, which is very nice. Now as we are getting a list, we can iterate over this list. Let me copy this. In here I can say for item in list zip, zipping these two, what we say, list, and we can print item, right? Oops, we can print item. It needs to be in between pair of parentheses, and here is the list. Now again, this is based on tuple. As a result, again we can do what? Let me copy this, let me paste it in here. In place of item, we can type in male comma female. These are temporary variables, and in here we can make use of formatting. So f double quotes, it would be like braces male will be partner of female. Pretty standard, right? In fact, let me update the text as male will be dance partner of female. Alright, so this looks good. Let me run this, and it will generate couple of statements. Jake will be dance partner of Pooja, John will be dance partner of Natasha, and finally Rahul will be dance partner of Tina. This is fair enough. But for example, there is no one-to-one association. Number of males are lower than number of females. For example, let me add a yet another name. Name could be anything, maybe Priyanka. Let me run this code. So now these lists are updated, and now for example we run this for loop. Again, there won't be any issue. Now when it comes to zip mechanism, if there is no one-to-one correspondence, then any additional element in the list or in any data structure, any iterable object will be ignored. So in here we have two lists, but there is no one-to-one correspondence. One element in a list female is additional. As a result, it will simply ignored. All right, so now moving forward, let us move forward and create couple of more elements, right? So in here we will be creating 3 new objects. So it would be like my list x equals, here what we can do, we can definitely make use of range, and we will give the range as maybe 10, and we need to cast it as a list, right? This will generate a list. Let me copy this, let me paste it in here. Now let us create a tuple maybe. So using this statement, we would be creating a tuple x, and finally let us create a yet another iterable data structure, which is for example set. So it would be like my set x. Let me create the constructor of set. Good enough. Let me run this. So in here we have 3 data structures. Let me show you all of these by printing them. Good enough. Now finally let me show you an interesting thing. It would be like list. In between list we will call in zip, and we will pass on these 3 data structures, these 3 objects. Here we go. Let me print these, and here we go. So it has created a list where we have tuples and there is one-to-one association. This is nice, this is great. We can again do what? We can again use a couple of things. For example, the range could be 10, but the starting value of these three values can be changed. So starting value could be like 1, for a tuple it could be like 2, and for a range, pardon me, for set it could be 3. Let me run this, and here is the tuple 1 2 3 2 3 4 3 4 5, right? So these kind of association, these kind of zipping is very much possible, and we need not to worry about the type of iterable data. It could be any type of data and we can zip any type of data. In fact, in here I can add a name. For example, in here I type in study easy, and I also zip the name in here. Let me firstly run this and run this. Here we go. So easily we can set things up, we can zip things, and zip in that matter is quite flexible, quite matured. Alright, so these are a couple of things. I know the length of the video is pretty high, but we will end it right away. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day and take care.